Hi Ash, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We attended your event last week and we felt very, very excited. You got a lot of support from the communities in the Vietnamese community and, the Latino communities as well as the mainstream. How you feel about that event?
Well, I'm very excited because what we're seeing the entire community start to rally behind me in this campaign. And I have always tried my best in my service to represent the entire community. And so last week, to have Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, who is so well respected by so many in the community and around the country, come forward to support me. And in addition to that, to have my former opponents, Van Lê, Cong Do, and Isa Herrera come forward, I think it says a lot about the kind of campaign we're putting together, the inclusiveness, and making sure that everyone's voice is heard, not just through my campaign, but the work that I try to do every day.
Correct. And I was so impressed with the comments that Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren mentioned that day. Can you tell us a little bit about what she said?
Yeah, well, the first thing she said, which is absolutely true, is that she rarely endorses. It's really hard to get a Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren endorsement. She's very thoughtful about it. She tends to stay out of especially Democrat against Democrat. But in this case, she made it very clear that the work that we've done together, the work that she's done on issues of immigration reform, on housing issues, on the issues about how to keep our families safe, that every time she works on these issues, I'm always there working with her side by side. And she specifically mentioned issues regarding human rights in Vietnam. We know how much of a champion she's been for the Vietnamese community. She's relentless. She calls out the Vietnamese government. And it was an honor for me to hear her speak so lovingly and so much support of how I've been there with her on issues of human rights and speaking up against human rights abuses in Vietnam.
Yes, she did mention that she kind of rely sometimes on your advice with human rights and issues in Vietnam. So that, for me, I was very, very excited and impressed with that comment. Also, as we talk about, human rights and issue in Vietnam. We did have an issue here in San Jose with the flag, the yellow and 3 red stripes, the freedom flag. And some people accused you, if you don't mind, I ask. I was not in that meeting, but when the U.S. ambassador came to San Jose and City Hall hosted him, they said, quote unquote, Councilmember Ash Kaura actually took away all of the yellow and red stripes from the community members. I think that's hilarious, but I like your comment on that.
Yeah. Oh, it's an absolute lie. Look, they're trying to create any kind of controversy because the reality is I have a 100% record of standing up for the Vietnamese community here and standing up against human rights abuses in Vietnam. I wear the freedom flag often, whether it's a pin or a tie. You come to my campaign office right now, you'll see it right side by side with the American flag. I was there at that event. I never did anything of that sort. Even Congressman Honda's office confirmed that me and my staff had nothing to do with it. There was one woman in particular, Min, I believe she had one of the lanyards around the neck that has the American and a very beautiful American and the freedom flag together, and she was asked to remove it. I had nothing to do with that, and in fact, she supports me. So why don't these people accusing me actually ask the woman who was asked to have it removed? But they won't do that because it's not about the truth. It's about them trying to make these crazy accusations that are lies when I would never do anything of that sort. Remember, I was a public defender. I spent my career representing people against the government, and I believe strongly not just in freedom of speech, but I believe strongly in what that flag represents. The American flag and the freedom flag both represent democracy, freedom, liberty. I would never ask anyone to remove it. They know it's not true, but the truth doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is to beat me. And so they're going to create lies, and I'll allow them to create lies. I'll keep speaking the truth.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for your comment. And I hope this will clear the air for some people like me who were not at the event on that day. Let me move on to another question. Van Lê also mentioned about how real is it with developing a UC in San Jose. What do you think about it?
So, look, I went to UC Santa Barbara. I believe in the UC system.
Oh, wow. What a small world. I actually was teaching French in UC Santa Barbara back then, decades ago, when I first came to the United States. and as a French teacher substitute. But let's go back to my original question. How realistic is it to build another university in San Jose, a UC San Jose?
The issue is this. First of all, there are so many students growing up here in San Jose that even going to college by itself is a big challenge. We need to focus on the students that are in school, right? Because building a UC, the last one that was built, it took almost a decade and a half,
Yes.
14, 15 years. So let's talk about educational opportunities today. Let's talk about opening up more spots in the UCs, in the California State University system for our students.
Yes.
Right now, the UCs are allowing, they open up more spots for out-of-state students, and they're closing out, they're capping spots for our students.
Yes.
We need to tell them that they have to stop doing that, open up more spots for our residents, and stop raising the tuition.
Yes.
And I think that, the concept of a new UC, we really have to think more creatively. My opponent wants to build over the most beautiful open space land in San Jose, Coyote Valley.
Yes.
And that's such backward thinking. It's such thinking from the 20th century of just bulldoze everything and build these billion-dollar campuses. Instead, we should think like Silicon Valley, have a virtual campus where we can take advantage of all of the wonderful professors throughout the UC system and have a common link and allow someone to graduate from a UC San Jose that's a virtual campus. Now, that will be befitting the capital of Silicon Valley. It'll cost far less money. It won't have the environmental impacts, and it allows us to focus on what's most important right now, which are the students struggling right now just to get into college today. And I get that UC San Jose concept is very catchy, but clearly my opponent hasn't thought it through. She just keeps repeating talking points and just hasn't given it the thoughtfulness and intelligence required to put forward a plan that will work.
I totally agree with you, and I like the idea of having all of the alumni of San Jose State University to do that sort of things, and I think that is wonderful. I also noticed that in the Santa Clara County, with 11 cities alone, we already have 7 colleges. Why we need another one? But
so you make a good point about San Jose State. There are more people employed in the technology sector that graduate from San Jose State than any other university in the world, more than Stanford, more than Berkeley,
Yes.
more than UCLA. San Jose State is creating the backbone of the workforce for Silicon Valley. And I think if you ask them, I don't think they're too happy about the idea of bringing a brand new UC here rather than working with them
yes.
to create more educational opportunities for our students.
I think the idea of working together to make things better is very good and very well addressed in your campaign. And I like that because it's about inclusive, just like you said earlier, it's about working together, improving the city of San Jose and the Santa Clara County. That is wonderful. Because we have such a limited time, I would like to ask you if you have any other comments before we see you next time.
Well, I'm just very excited because I'm getting such great support from around the community. I'm getting great support.
Congratulations.
Certainly from the Vietnamese community
Yes.
with open arms. And it's based upon the work we've done together. Over the past decade or so, as a council member, as a public defender, as a teacher, I've really enjoyed being part of the Vietnamese community by supporting the different causes, by supporting efforts in City Hall to improve the quality of life for the Vietnamese community. And I'm just very excited about the campaign because I have the opportunity to be the voice of the entire community. And more importantly, once we win, I really look forward to having a regular dialogue with the Vietnamese American community. At least once a quarter, I'll have a community town hall
Wonderful.
where we can all get together and I can share what's happening in Sacramento and I can, more importantly, listen to the issues that are happening here in San Jose.
One last question, Ash. As a new California State Assembly member, what would be the first issue you will address and work on it?
I think, there are so many important issues. I
Right.
think access to education is such an important issue that that's an area that I will look into immediately because I really love doing my homework and studying and figuring out what the best avenues are to address issues.
Right.
Now, we have so much income inequality. We have gaps in educational opportunity right here in San Jose, and that's unacceptable. So the first thing I'll do is see what can we do to make sure families here in San Jose have better access to education for their children.
Wonderful. We thank you so much for your time and thank you for being with José Có Gì Lạ. And we will hear from you next time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Ash.